2000 model year Jeep Grand Cherokee 3.1 liter diesel engine, I believe. It's not common rail, it's the old, so it's the electronic old style diesel injection system, I believe. Customer complaint. It cranks. It's been sitting for some time, for over a year. It had transmission work done on it. Now it cranks. It cranks and runs, and then shuts down after after a couple of seconds, maybe 2 or 3 seconds. It runs for a short period and then does that. Now I'm going to try to show the symptom to you. I'm trying to hit the plugs up. Try it 3 times, off on 3 times, and then hopefully you will see the symptom. It does actually run for a few seconds, 1 or 2 seconds, then shuts down. It looks like the shutdown is deliberate, done by the computer from the sounds of it. It's not as if it is just stalling and struggling. Yeah. Attempt to crank it on the next time and see if you... It needs to be primed. That's why when I started the clip I had to go around to the front to prime it first. You need to prime the fuel first, and then otherwise it may still fail to run. It did almost run there. I hope you heard it. Runs, then shuts off. I'm going to try it a 3rd time. Yeah. It sounds deliberate, as you can hear it. I'm trying to work out if you can see this. Let me see how well you are seeing this laptop. Okay, it looks like you can see it quite well. So I'm going to try to find out. With a shutdown like this, I would expect some kind of fault code. I'm running the Autoboss DCI today. Yeah, so America, this is a Chrysler product. This is a Chrysler product. I already have some wiring diagrams here because Franco and Derek were on this vehicle earlier. They were trying to troubleshoot. It had an oil pressure sensor issue, which I think has been resolved. Alternator issues as well at some point. That's why we have the schematic for the alternator. That has been resolved, but now it's throwing up mutants. Powertrain control module. Oh, my bad. I didn't turn leave the key in the on position in the ignition. So let me attempt that again. I also apologize for my voice. It's not the best. I'm recovering from a cough. Read codes. It has two codes. There's a code from the Cherokee system, probably ABS or traction control related, and then one for the powertrain control, but it's not giving description. So either look those up on the net later. I don't feel like I don't want to clear them. What I'm going to do, but then thinking about all the work that has been done on this vehicle, transmission reviewed, then alternator issues, so many things have been connected and disconnected. I'm thinking about erasing the code and seeing if it will come back. I have them recorded so on camera, so that's fine. I don't normally do this, but let me attempt that. Read codes. That P22FE comes back right away, so that is our hard fault. I think we should check that first. Meanwhile, clear PCM. What would that be? Oh, okay. I think I don't lose anything. I've already erased the code, so let me attempt that as well. Try to clear all the learned memory from the engine. Yeah, the code comes back. Comes right back. How do you display basically the details of the vehicle, what kind of engine it's got? It's got a VM Motori diesel engine, model 2000, 3.1 liter. It seems to be an unusual 5-cylinder. I'm going to confirm this. That seems to suggest 5-cylinders. I thought it was 4 cylinders. I will verify that later. Input out display, what's in there? I'm just going to have a look to see if I can spot anything out of the ordinary that may help me. Brake switch, release. Pressed on the brake switch, but I don't see any change in status there. Alternator switch, it is saying it is in D stroke R, when clearly you can see it is in P. I don't know how well you can see that in park. So with that, even the fuel pump relay is off. ASD relay sense is high and recording. Yeah, so that means the malfunction indicator light is off, yes, and it's off on the instrument cluster, but ignition switch sense says low, should be high. That doesn't change any of the status here, and the fuel pump relay is off. SD relay is on, yes. But it shouldn't be on when the engine is not running. for everything. Even the map sensor, the nearest sensor I can get to, right on top of the engine, says 0 volts. That's not right. It shouldn't be like that. TPS percentage 0. Everything here is 0. That doesn't make much sense. Coolant temperature. Oh. I think the data I'm getting here is garbage. Either that or we have major issues with either the 5 volt reference for most of these sensors or the sensor ground. Everything is 0. This is not looking good. I have to decide what to trust. Is it the scan tool that can't get me the good data, or is it the engine control module that is giving me steady data? If it were the scan tool, I want to get into another control module and see what the scan tool will give me. Transmission control module, no fault code. Let's look at the data on that. That can't be right. None of those signals appears to be displaying correctly. I'm even thinking of changing scan tools now. It looks like this scan tool ain't that good. Or before I do that, I'm going to change the software to the earlier version. Sometimes the later versions of the software give me issues. What else? And I believe the scan tool works with this control module because it did at least clear one code. Lock brakes. That should give me. Oh, another lot of code. I just clear them to just to see the scan tool. Now that I communicate with the ABS correctly, they're all coming back. Either the scan tool did not clear the codes or the code had. Oh, now it's saying no fault code. So it means clearing the code did work. Okay. Stereocom module, not on this guy, I think. Even though it has fuse control switches, those could be directly connected to the powertrain. Body, let's look at airbag. See if it's got any. Yes, it does seem to have some codes. I'll try to clear them, see if they. Oh, I generated even more codes. Oh no, read stored code. Sorry, I'll clear them now. Okay, those appear to be hard codes. And What is the body computer? So what is all that? Body computer will be the one in charge of the alarm. In fact, one other thing I am thinking of looking at, if I can get into it, is the immobilizer system. So the way this vehicle behaves as if it's got an immobilizer issue, although the key crossed out light lamp on the instrument cluster does okay. But the computer doesn't have the port code now. Sensor display. I'm just having a look to see, work out whether the scan tool is my issue. Let me try to play with the lock switch and see if I get any responses here. All that is working, but I don't see, apart from the little play in the system voltage, I don't see anything else. And the system voltage plays around even when I don't touch the switch. So I'm beginning to doubt this scan tool or the software being up to this task. Wireless control, is that? I thought that was for the remote. Can't see anything related to security apart from the body control module. Okay, I think I'll just use all the software. Display. This scan tool. Maybe falling on its face with respect to Jeeps. I can't believe all it can do. The only thing I can trust it on this vehicle, is clear code. I don't believe that data is missing. So I need to change scan tool. And I don't like using the error scan tool because it's very good, especially with the diesels, HGVs and European vehicles, but it's very iffy, very sensitive. Well, guess what happened? The other scan tool also didn't fare any better than the first scan tool, and then I resorted to getting the codes manually by turning the ignition key. I read somewhere that option, you turn the key in the ignition on and off, I think 3 or 4 times, something like that. I've still paid to get it. It's still reading the mileage, but there is a sequence. I've done it twice. I don't know exactly how many times I did it, but it gave me just one code, P0622, which is for the alternator. Now, I thought the alternator issues on this vehicle were fixed. Looks like that wasn't the case. I'm wasting a bit of time here trying to show you the code. I did it off camera, but believe me, I saw one code, P0622, P0622, and it's related to the alternator. Now, let me go take you around to the front and show you interesting things. I'll set you up on the tripod here. And show you a few things. Okay, first and foremost, this engine is not running. It hasn't run since I came here. This battery was not on the vehicle. It was brought from the charger and put here. Now, all the time since I was inside, all the time for like half an hour or something, I came here. When I read the code for the alternator, I came here to find out what's up with the alternator, only to discover. Now, here is the thing. Engine hasn't run for a long time. Okay, it now cranks and runs and stops after a few seconds. It shouldn't get hot. This alternator is warm and you can't feel it, but I can use this temperature gun to show you that it is indeed. You see that it's reading 47 degrees centigrade. Look at the rest of the vehicle. The background is 33.4.2, whatever. The rest of especially the top of the engine, hope you can see that, 35.6. But when I point it at the alternator, it goes up to 44, 45. So this alternator is warm even with the vehicle not running. So now that means that concerns me. The other thing that I wanted to show you, this wire is out of the alternator. I found it there. This alternator has got 4 wires. These 3 small wires. I'm trying to get you a better shot. There are 3 small wires here, as you can see them, and there's this big wire here. So that means it has a total of 4 wires, and it's also possible, obviously, with this big cable, fat cable being the 12 volts. It's a feed to the fuse box. So the alternator itself must be grounded through the bolts that bolt it onto the vehicle. Now these 3 wires are what I'm going to investigate now, because I was told it had alternator issues. I even sent them wiring diagrams. I think that wasn't the case. It wasn't fixed. The problem is still there. The alternator problem is still there. I'm going to find out what's on these 3 wires, and then I'll come back. I'll bring you back to the camera. Now this here is the wiring diagram I've got for this vehicle. this is our alternator. We've got 4 wires, one of which was the fat one, and I think that's the one up there, coming straight from the fusible link, going even to the starter, and all the way to the battery. You can follow diesel. They have different colors for the diesel. The design I think is similar, but for the coloring of the wires it's different. You've got it coming all the way from the battery via the starter up to the through the fusible link, and then coming to the alternator there. Now the other 3 wires, the small ones, one of them looks like a ground, because this alternator, now I think I'm getting it. I'm beginning to get it. There's something else I need to show you on the vehicle, because I saw the alternator on the vehicle is not original. It's a Denso generator, so I'm sure it's not meant for that vehicle. And the code is related to the P1622, is related to the field, to the generator field control. When I'm editing the video, I'll try to include the description as I saw it off the net. So that should be this wire. We should be concerned with that. And on this wire, this generator has like a small module inside it that communicates digitally with the alternator. So on these 2 wires, I expect to find some kind of digital signals if the system is working properly. I'm not sure in which direction the signals are going. For now, I suspect that the alternator would communicate via this wire to the engine control module to tell it what it's doing, and then the power control module would in return command the alternator through this other wire. Either way, when the system is working properly, both should have some kind of digital signal, and then we should have a ground on one. Let me take you back to the vehicle and show you the alternator that's not supposed to be on the vehicle. It's a Denso, and you've already seen it's hot and hotter than it should be. So there's something obviously wrong with this, and I think when the engine computer notices fun is going on with the power generation, it shuts down the operation. And my plan also is to unplug these 3 wires totally, unplug these 3 wires from the alternator and see if the vehicle continues to run. I think I need to make a correction. I looked at this diagram for another second and realized this pin is number 1 and pin number 2. This 0 here, 0 whatever mark, and then this O and these 2 O's mean you are given an option here. If it's 1 O, is for the gas, so the gas system, petrol system, will have this system to have a generator field control, and on the diesel it should be a lean bus. So lean bus means communication can go back and forth on those wires, I believe, and that leaves us with this ground. So this system should have just this wire. You will see here you have pin number 1 and pin number 1, so it's optional. You can have either, if it's petrol, you're going to have this kind of arrangement with a generator field control. If it is a diesel, you are going to have lean bus connection to the engine control module. So that means because this is a diesel, this is the arrangement we have, and then this does not apply, and then we have a ground wire, and then we have this big wire. So that is beginning to seem to me. If I bring you to the alternator, have a look for yourself. It's a Denso alternator. Now when you go further, you find the socket is missing. The wires have been, this is a very tricky angle, but you can see the socket was done away with, and the wires were connected there directly through the pins. Just remove the pin connectors and got rid of the wall socket. So obviously somebody has been here very busy. I don't know if you can see that sellotape, wiring tape. Check out, this is the wiring going further down. Someone has been busy here. It's a very tricky shot, but I hope you can see these funny connections. Actually, this wire here, I don't know how well you can see it, but this was one wire. This was one wire, and it was made it into two, and then those two head up here. Now, so the wiring diagram we have is correct. They are supposed to be two wires like this. Somehow, someone managed to do this. You see, they turned one wire into two on this, and they did the same here. Now that wiring has to be undone, and I'm not sure we shall entertain this alternator on this vehicle. Now I've tried, because I need to take these three wires out of the alternator. I tried to label them according to the order in which I found them. There are three wires, so one is 3, the other is 2, and I have another one which I've already unplugged as wire number 1. However, wire number 1, as you can see it here from the label, wire number 1 is connected to the original green wire, I think with dark brown. I hope you can make out that wire is green with dark brown, and then there is a blue one with what looks like either a white or brown stripe, and now that one was connected to two of the wires, two and 3 here, which I've labeled 2 and 3 here. So these wires further down the harness, these 2 wires are original to the vehicle. One is blue, mostly blue, with some white or yellow, and then this is green with what looks like a brown stripe. And when we come to the wiring diagram, we indeed have a blue, white with the blue. I think that's for the comms. And then we have what looks like what is BK, black. That's supposed to be black. Anyway, I've already found that there is one ground, one of those the wire that I've labeled number 1 is actually ground. So I'm going to show you that right now very quickly. So we have a storm coming. I'm hoping you will still be able to hear me. But I can tell you the wire which I labeled number 1. I'm hoping you can see it. The wire which I labeled number 1 is here. And I'm going to put my test lamp on the positive side of the pathway. If I find a ground, this lamp will light. I think you can see that it's lighting. Now, this wire, you can see that this wire lights the lamp. So that wire is the ground. So we have the ground there as originally should be, and on the other wire we should have communication, in-bus communication. However, I think I will need to use an oscilloscope to show you that, to show you if there is any communication. Now, assuming this is a ground, I'm going to turn the key on in the ignition switch, but supposedly this is the wire we are now on. Although whoever did this I don't know what to call it. It's kind of like a decimation. I don't know what the idea was. They tried to find an alternator, and then they used the denser one, probably from a Toyota model, and they tried to use it on this. So what they did was, this wire is a single wire. They turned it into two wires and tried to populate the pins on the alternator socket. So key is on. The key is in the on position right now, and you can see we have 0 volts, and there is no continuity to ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this wire here. Not be connected. And see if there is a change now. There is a change in voltage. When I do that, no, there isn't. There is nothing on that wire. I expected to find some kind of low voltage because I expect some kind of signal in this wire. I'm going to have to prove that. For better connection, I need to take this tip off, and I'm going to have to use an oscilloscope to prove to you that there is nothing on this wire, absolutely. And it is in the on position, so there should be communication at least from the power train control module. It appears there is nothing. I will try to follow the wire all the way up to, I will try to take continuity all the way up to the power train control module, which by the way is not very far. It's right here, over here. So once I prove there is continuity and I can get a duty, a lean bus signal on that wire, that means the computer is kaput. It means whatever they did, I don't know what should be, what voltages should be on the pins on this alternator that were connected to that wire that should only carry communication. The wires that carry, the circuits that carry computer communication are very, very sensitive and can be very easily killed by any kind of spike or even shots. So things are not looking very good right now for this powertrain control module. With the key in the on position, I've made my connection to that wire going to the PCM that should have communication, and you can see obviously that I have some kind of signal up. Apologies for the glare. Let me turn the lamp off. I hope you can see that. Now you can see obviously there are communication signals coming from the PCM. So that means I'm relieved. That means the PCM is still okay. This vehicle just needs to get an original alternator, not not hacks like this. Putting a denso alternator on it with 3 pins, where it with 4 wires where it should have 3 wires, and then doing all sorts of hacking. I'm very happy that the alternator is still functional, because rather the PCM is still functional with respect to trying to communicate to the alternator, because the alternative would have been that apart from the alternator, the PCM too would need to be changed. I don't even now have to follow the wiring continuity to the PCM here. I don't need to do that. Now this also underscores the importance of employing an oscilloscope, because on the oscilloscope you can see this, but on the multimeter you can't. Look at what the multimeter is showing. When I make the connection to that wire, it's as if there is almost nothing on that wire. But look, clearly there are signals on that wire, which you can only see that with an oscilloscope, or there's a multimeter. What is it called? There's a type of multimeter that looks like an oscilloscope. I forget the name. It's a simple, is it recording or something? Multimeter. That is, the only things you can use. You can't use a standard multimeter like this one to prove, for example, that this circuit is good. So I'm going to end that video here. I think what I'm going to do with that wire disconnected from the alternator and not shorted, what I'm going to try to do is to charge this battery, because after all the cranking that I've done, the battery just went down here. I'm going to try to charge it and then try to crank it and see if it continues running with that wire open like that, and not connected to the hacked wire that you saw, hacked wires that you saw earlier. If anything changes, if the engine continues to run with that arrangement, I'll show it to you. If I don't, it means that didn't change anything. The vehicle just wants to communicate without an alternator, and then it will get rid of that code and probably have the engine run. I won't investigate the engine start stall any further until we have a good alternator on this. I don't want to waste my time investigating other things when there is a very high possibility that the bad alternator on this vehicle is causing this stalling issue.